And now to this story, which I'm particularly excited about. Climate change is a phenomenon that has gripped our imaginations and caused incredible devastation across the globe. Advocacy issues around climate change have largely been the preserve of various social movements and countless NGOs. Tomorrow, however, we'll see two accounting professors leaving South Africa's shores for the forests of the Amazon on an 1,100-kilometre paddle down one of the territory's tributaries as they join the fight for reforestation. Professors Kurt Sartorius and Wayne Fasale join me in studio ahead of tomorrow's departure. Well, it's an honour to be in the midst of two professors. Gentlemen, very good evening. Thanks for coming on to the show.
Thanks Thank you very much.
Kurt, if you allow me to start with you, what has prompted this expedition?
Well, it's sort of my destiny in a way. I did the same trip 50 years ago. I said after the trip that it was a nightmare to me. I then did many other trips in South America after that, and I sort of thought back on this first trip, and I thought to myself, let me test after 50 years have passed if it was exactly the same as I thought it was the first time round. So it's almost like a first and a last in terms of my expedition in South America.
And when you're tagging along,
yes.
Explain what's encouraged you to tag along, and more importantly, the agenda behind this paddle down the Amazon tributary, if you will.
Thanks. So I'm coming along as a chartered accountant and just trying to really help Kurt bring the message home that climate change is not something that just the natural scientists need to take on, but it's something that accountancy and specifically the profession really need to take to heart, because we are the ones that create the technology to report how companies perform. And if we don't report on all of the impacts and all of the sort of costs, then the society doesn't have the total picture and can't make the best decision. So that's really where I'm really excited. I'm an evolution researcher, accounting evolution researcher by trade, and so that's where my interest sparked. And obviously the Amazon also just has this mystic appeal and that sense of adventure, so I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, when you talk about adventure, Kurt, you sound a little bit like the Marlboro Man, if I might add. What are your fears going on this trip? I know the Amazon is not the safest of environments, is it?
No, especially the river we're going down. It's classified as a white water river, and that means it's nutrient rich, and it just means that there's abundant wildlife there. And it's not so much the wildlife that's the danger factor, it's the insects. So they, they don't call this part of the world the green hell for nothing. And the reason they call it the green hell is insects that are almost always swarming around you when you get onto the banks of the rivers.
So presumably it's mosquitoes and lots of others. I mean, what are you looking at?
Well, in terms of insects, it's every kind of insect that you can think of. Mosquitoes, wasps, ants, butterflies, they're all swarming around in this sort of swampy-like heat. And they're the biggest annoyance. It's not to say that there aren't other types of animals and creatures that are dangerous, but normally nature sort of obeys the rules, and we don't sort of try and break those rules. So they're not a great danger to us in the general course of events. I would probably think that in that part of the world, human beings are the biggest danger. The Rio Madeira at the moment has got a problem with pirates. And it's quite ironic that if you look at our N3, the cargo being hijacked, well, the cargo going up and down the Rio Madeira is also subject to being hijacked. So there's that element in Brazil, and there's probably less law and order in the western part of Brazil than that we complain about here in South Africa. So we've got to really be vigilant. We've got to make sure that we don't try and be too political, because climate change in Brazil is very politicized. Half of Brazil fully supports the current president, and half of Brazil fully supports his opponent. And they're very emotional about it. So we are going to try and be non-political, and what we're really trying to do is take a message, hang on, that the accounting profession, because of its sort of linkages with corporate power and strategy and resources, and mainly resources, shall I say.
Yeah.
If we can engage the accounting profession to support something like reforestation, then we will have done our job. But we've got to try and make sure that when we do this in Brazil, that we don't ruffle any feathers.
I can certainly imagine. Well, talk us through how you are documenting, if you will, this entire journey, how you're getting the message out there. I mean, certainly we'd like to keep tabs on you. We'd like to know you guys are safe and what it's like paddling an average of 40 kilometers a day, I'd imagine, and certainly invite you back onto the show in about a month or so when you return.
Thank you. So we're primarily using GoPros just because of their versatility and their roughness. So we'll be taking with the GoPro Max, so we can get that 360 footage, which allows us to, after the fact, pinpoint and sort of look at what has changed to compare to the pictures that Kurt's friend took 50 years ago. We'll be also using a GoPro Hero 10 to take some vlog-style documentary stuff in the evenings, just to try and capture our thoughts and feelings as we're going across, and if we come across anything that we notice in the environment that's changed, so we can record those thoughts while we're going along. And then we'll analyze this data when we come back.
Now, what I'm wondering is, what sort of canoe are you guys traveling on? Are you paddling together? What are you doing for food? Do you stop at intervals? Are you getting any form of protection? Or are the people guiding you? Or how's all of that going to happen?
So there'll be 4 of us in total. So it's Kurt, his son Ben, myself coming from South Africa, and then we have a local Estras who will be joining us and hopefully help us translate when we do need to speak to locals. But then we've got 2 canoes, so 2 people in each canoe. In terms of protection, we're pretty much by ourselves, that's it. Kurt can speak a little bit about the food, because to be honest, I think that's going to be my surprise. Yeah, in terms of power, we're taking with solar panels. I've got a 40-watt solar panel and a 12-volt lithium-ion battery that we'll be using to gather the sun's energy and recharge the GoPros and other necessities as required.
Kurt, I've only got half a minute for you, but talk to us about your diet. What are you going to be eating on those, 40 days that you... 28 days that you're going to be paddling?
Not sure. River water, puree tabs, and Pro-Nutro, and
couple of piranha maybe?
Noodles. So yeah, you know, we're paddling probably 24/7, so we're going to try and do the distance as quick as possible. So we really have to take stuff that we can, you know, this light, add water, boil it up, so we won't be able to catch fish and that sort of thing, you know, or many fish, shall I say.
Gentlemen, I certainly appreciate your time. Would have loved to have talked to you for much longer, but I wish you a very safe trip and look forward to speaking to you again on the show in about 30 days' time.
Thank you very much.
It was Professors Kurt Sartorius and Wayne van Zyl, and they're off on a journey to the Amazon tomorrow, actually, as they bid to create more awareness around climate change.